Hi everyone, Will Hayward here. The podcast you're about to listen to was recorded before the news of the really sad death of Hefin David, the member of the Senedd for Caerphilly. At the pod, we just really want to extend our condolences to his family and his friends. Hefin came on the pod just a matter of months ago and was a fierce advocate for his community and also for autistic people. He spoke at length about that when he came on the podcast, and I've interviewed him several times, knew him fairly well, and he always came across as a man of significant principle, who always fronted up and never tried to duck tough questions. Obviously, we're not going to mention this on the podcast because we weren't aware at the time, but we thought it would be wrong not to extend our real heartfelt condolences to Hefin and all his friends, family and colleagues at this really difficult time. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to 4 Wales See Wales with me, Mel Owen.
Me, Robin Morgan.
And me, Will Hayward.
How are we all doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to paint a vision for a better Wales.
Sorry, I've just splashed water on my glasses. Carry on. I look so weird without glasses, don't I?
Do you have prescription goggles, like for when you go on holiday and stuff?
Or for when you play sport? When you play football, do you wear glasses?
I wear glasses playing football.
Is that dangerous?
Yeah, I'm fucking bad boy.
Can you head with glasses?
Yeah, I do, but
Because you head not with your eyes, do you?
But I'm a bad footballer, so okay. But I sometimes wear different glasses because these are the money makers.
Less rim.
Sorry,
less rim to the glasses.
Will work well. Yeah, just ones I don't really care about. But no, I don't wear prescription goggles. I didn't realise you can get prescription goggles. I do have prescription sunglasses. So when I'm on holiday, I'm sort of just like,
oh, and he's back.
Constantly like, yeah.
So my best mate growing up, Richard, we used to do sidebar to my sidebar. Me and Richard used to do a thing called Dick and Willie Discos. It was we did a kids disco company. I was like 15, he was 15, and we used to do like kids parties.
Right.
And that's what you called it?
Dick and Willie Discos. Yeah. We were Lou on Google.
Yeah.
But anyway, he had sports goggles for playing sport. And I always thought he was like a really good sportsman growing up, but it was just he was the first kid to hit puberty. He had sports goggles, and I remember us playing cricket together. And he came out to bat, and I was already in. It was the two of us batting, and he came up and he just went, "Well, I haven't got my goggles. I can't see anything. I can't see." And I was like, just swing. And anyway, he hit like 3 fours in a row, was like doing amazing. He wasn't naturally that good at cricket.
No way.
And then his mum ran on the pitch, which was obviously the worst embarrassing ever, with his sports goggles going, Richard,
Dick, I have your dicky goggles.
He put his goggles on and was out
straight away.
Yeah.
What do you mean by goggles? Because I thought you were talking about like swimming goggles.
Yeah, they're kind of like, they're like swimming goggles. They go like round your eye. They fit flush around your eyes, but there's like a kind of elastic band that holds them tight flush to your head.
Not like Edgar Davids used to play.
Yeah, but like a lamer.
You're a dad, and I feel like this is the things that like only dads wear. The wraparound sunglasses.
Oh, right,
You know, the kind of Disneyland. They just look...
I had some of them for fossil hunting, but that was like an eye safety thing.
He's more of a dad than I am, I think. He's got more dad cheek. I used to have, and some of my glasses, they had clip-on sunglasses bits. Not the flick-up ones, because those are German sex tourists, but like you sort of clip them on, but it was very kind of Dr. Ock from Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Are we doing well in this episode that should have lasted 25 minutes?
Yeah, how did we get onto this?
So... basically, we've spoken in the past...
I splashed water on my glasses.
Oh, of course. Yeah, so we didn't even start, really, did we?
We've spoken in the past about how Wales is getting older. And so in 15 years, a quarter of the people in Wales will be over 65, and the number of people aged over 90 will double. And in 20 years, the number of people aged over 65 will be increasing 7 times faster than the number of working age people.
That's a lot of numbers.
So say that last one again, because that's a really important one. In 20 years, the number of people aged over 65 will be increasing 7 times faster than the number of working age people.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, that's bad for pensions.
It's bad for pensions. It's also bad for...
public services.
And also looking after these people.
Yeah.
There's going to be more people who need looking after with fewer people to look after them.
To do it.
Yeah. Obviously, this is a big challenge for Wales. But there is an area of Wales which is a bit of an outlier. So we record this in Newport.
Yeah.
And Newport, I think, wrongly gets a bad rep for lots of reasons, but Newport's a bit of an outlier. Newport is the fastest growing local authority in Wales. So between 2011 2021, it grew just under 10%. 10% increase in the size of the city.
In the size of the city?
In terms of the number of people.
Got you.
Cardiff only grew by under 5%.
Pathetic.
And the next one was Bridgend, like 4.5%.
Not even trying.
Yeah.
It's not just growing, it's the age of it. So Newport has the highest percentage of people aged under 15 in Wales. So 19% of people in Newport are under 15, which is higher
19 or 90?
19.
That would be madness.
90 is Lord of the Flies, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I know. It's mad.
Crazy.
But the next one is Merthyr, and I mean, it's miles ahead of places like Ceredigion and Powys, which are the oldest
Sure.
areas.
Yeah.
The under 16 population grew 10% in 10 years. So that is like, Newport is a really young city. And basically, Wales's future is in places like Newport. This is a place where there's younger people. And if you get this right, it could be incredibly beneficial for Wales. If you fuck this up, you've basically hamstringing yourself. You're not only got an aging population, your younger population is going to be struggling. So I want to talk about one stat which just completely blew my mind. So last week, Office for National Statistics data came out on house prices and rents. So looking at rent, Newport had the highest increase in rent by percentage of anywhere in England or Wales. Nowhere in England is rent growing faster than in Newport.
In England and Wales?
In England and Wales.
That's mad.
London, everywhere.
I was going to say, you'd have assumed it's London.
So the first one in London is Barking and Dagenham, which increased 14% in 12 months.
Right.
Newport increased 20%. Rents in Newport went up 20% in just a year.
What is driving that then? Is demand for places to live, basically?
It's a combination of things. So obviously growing population, younger population, much more likely to rent, more demand for rent. But the other thing is Wales's house prices and rent didn't grow as much in the previous kind of 10 years, whereas London had that big boom where prices just went wild. Wales didn't have that, whereas now Wales is getting that similar thing. But what was interesting is the top 10 areas in the UK which have had the fastest increase in rent over the last year, 3 of them are in Wales. Wales is a really small percentage of England and Wales, and yet 3 places in Wales have got the fastest growing rent. So Newport, and then in 8th it's Merthyr, and then in 9th it's Rhondda and Taff.
Okay, interesting.
So the areas with the youngest populations have got the highest growing rents, fastest growing rents.
And is that the market tapping into this fact that these, like, the percentage of young people who could have bought a home 10 years ago are now finding that so impossible to do that therefore more people are renting, so therefore the market's going, well, let's try and make some money off these renters?
Yeah. So basically, demand.
Yeah.
And people unable to get on that housing ladder. But, I mean, rent overall in Wales is increasing faster than Scotland and England. So rent over the last year in Wales on average went up about 8%. In England, it only went up 6%.
Yeah.
In Scotland, it was 4%. So we've got these pockets of young people, but they're becoming adults into a world which is really hard.
Yeah.
And it's going to make it really, really tough for them to be able to like meet the what we need from them as a future in Wales.
Can I just add to that, just like on a purely anecdotal basis, and it just kind of made me think that 4 people who I know who are my age or maybe slightly younger, professionals, late 20s, early 30s, have all said to me they're moving homes and to their parents for the foreseeable because they can't afford to live in South Wales anymore.
Like late 20s? And all have like proper jobs.
The oldest one is like 31. Yeah. He's got, I don't think he'd mind me saying he's got a doctorate. He's out there in the world and he's having to move home for the foreseeable because it's just not affordable to live in rented accommodation.
May I ask if any of these people are single?
All of them.
So that I think that's
Do you think that's a big thing? Yeah.
I think it's I found in 2014, me and my now wife moved to London in a room in a house share, but we split that room between 2 people.
Sure, yeah.
And I often found within London at that point, it would have been near impossible for a single person to do that with one income. And I think that's seemingly maybe a factor here as well. Like it's being without being able to split the bills that way.
Yeah.
It's it's nigh on impossible, right?
Yeah, 100%. Which is, I mean, an incredibly depressing situation to be in when you're somebody who is a young professional working, highly qualified, and you're taught, you're sold this dream of right. You go to education, So my friend who has a PhD is reached the highest level of education that he can,
It's just crazy.
and he's been sold this, and now at the moment, it's not affordable for him to live in South Wales at the moment.
Like, you study hard, you work hard,
Yeah.
you get a good job, you
You're
buy
doing
a house.
everything you're told to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it makes complete sense that people think the social fabric is cracking, because you see, generation above or two above, they did that and was fine.
Yeah.
So therefore the same rules will apply for us. This is how things work, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, anecdotally, again, sort of people, the job market is fucked, right? How many people are applying for the same job just using, AI and getting it that way? Or I read this thing about sort of ghosting in terms of job vacancies. Like, people will go through interview after interview after interview. That job doesn't exist, and it's sometimes recruiters are just basically making up jobs to make it seem like they are doing their job.
Are you serious?
So people are going through.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. I think it was a Guardian article
That's
about
disgusting.
it. Sort of like, these fantasy jobs, and people applying for, like,
Just so the job website looks stacked.
doing a job application takes hours out of your day and your effort, and then either getting a rejection or just not hearing back for fucking months. Like, it's bleak. It's really, like, we do, apply for gigs or, acting jobs or writing jobs, and we don't hear back. Like, it's a big thing with an actor. Like, you spend the time to do a self-tape, and you spend hours over a weekend learning lines, setting it off. You never hear whether you got it.
No
and then
feedback.
you see, and then no feedback, and then you'll go, it's in production, right? So I didn't get that. Fine.
Yeah.
But, like, for a normal job, doing that it's incredibly demoralizing.
And it's not, like, workable either. Like, it's one thing, like, for us, like you say, you apply for an acting job, say, you don't hear, but then you don't take another job because you want to keep your availability and this, that, and the other. But, because we're freelance, we can kind of work. We have a multi-hyphenate career, so I think, okay, at least if I know I can pay the bills, then I can keep that available and so on. But for people just wanting their stable income and not hearing all these phantom jobs, that's disgusting.
No, it's mad, right? Not everyone can sell feet pictures like I do. Like, it's a big issue,
and they are beautiful.
Thank you very much. You owe me some money, by the way.
The reason I bring this up is because I don't want this to be seen as depressing, because although there are, as we say, huge challenges, I want to use Newport as an example, because Newport is an example of both Wales's huge challenges, but also the massive potential. So in terms of positives for Newport positioning-wise is really, really well positioned. You got Bristol to the east, Cardiff to the west. It's on the South Wales main line for what that is worth. You've also got a really cool potential brand around Newport. Newport is, it's got a real edgy history through both music, but also things like the Chartist uprising. There's always been an edge to Newport, and there's a brand there that could be tapped into, especially if you've got this really up and coming young population. But also, business-wise, like, do you know about the semiconductor cluster and about the production of semiconductors?
No.
So semiconductors really vital for the development of, like, huge, basically all big tech.
Right.
Loads of it is produced in Newport.
Okay.
Like, it's like one of the few like nationally significant developments that Wales has, and that's in Newport. There's loads of other things that have, like, quite big technical investments that are happening in Newport. And these are all, like, really, really positive. And what it needs is like joined up thinking to try and harness that potential, because you've got potentially a really, really strong young workforce. Those are young people with that who are going into the labour market and, will be in the prime of their productivity, and then you've got these potentially really well-paying jobs which are in Wales and could be for Wales. But then there is another challenge. So one issue is around transport, but not specifically just transport, but around pollution. So I wanted to talk very, very briefly about the M4 around Newport, because although this is obviously a Southeast Wales issue, it's a big version of problems we have all over Wales. So do you know what an AQMA is?
No.
It sounds like an exam board, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's given WJC.
Yeah.
Oh, AQA. AQA was one.
Yeah,
Before
was
WJC.
one.
Yes, absolutely. I think I did my Spanish in AQA.
Nice.
you
What
go.
grade did you get?
I don't remember.
See.
Nice.
Thank you.
It means an air quality monitoring area.
Okay.
So basically, when pollution reaches a certain level in an area, the local authority are obliged to start monitoring it 24/7, 365 days a year, and attempt to mitigate it. So this is when pollution reaches a level which is so high it's very damaging for health. In Wales, we've got quite a few of these. Now, in Cardiff, so Cardiff got a population of about 380,000. In Cardiff, there's four of these areas.
Right.
In Swansea, 250,000 population, there's just one. In Newport, which is 160,000, so less than half the size of Cardiff, there's 11.
Oh, wow.
So 11 areas of Newport have these like AQMA areas, and there is pretty much one reason for that, and that's the M4. So the M4 in Newport dissects the city. You've got parts of the city above it, you've got part of the city below it. There's not many places where you would have a major motorway going through the middle of a city.
Yeah. Can I just ask them what these areas, what happens in these areas?
So what the local authority will do is they will put up, there's basically tubes which can measure the level of NO2, which is the chemical which is dangerous. And so just in terms of air quality, I did a real deep dive into this a few years ago. This is why I'm so interested in it. But in terms of, so it's nitrogen dioxide. When that reaches 40 micrograms per cubic meter, it's considered dangerous. It can affect things like lung growth. For young kids, it affects their IQ. It can affect their memory. It can affect their concentration.
Wow.
Like really, really serious issues. But beyond the nitrogen dioxide, there's also things called particulates. So nitrogen dioxide comes out of an exhaust. There's particulates, which are the tiny, tiny, tiny particles, which don't come out of the exhaust mainly. They come off brake pads and tyres.
Oh, wow.
And some of these can cause issues like heart attacks, stuff like that. But the very small ones can go through the lining of the lungs into the bloodstream, and they can go into the brain. And it affects, linked with things like depression, suicide, and diabetes. Like really, really serious stuff.
Wow.
So the area with the most kids in Wales has the highest all these pollution issues, which is a serious, serious problem.
And that bit of the M4, I drove it shamefully. I apologise to the children of Newport. To here today, it goes down to 50 for just by Tredegar Park.
Yes.
And I've seen signs, the speed limit has been reduced for air quality.
Exactly.
So that's been something based off this data?
That is because of this, because of these AQMAs.
Same thing for Talbot?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. If you were designing a motorway to have loads of pollution, you would design the motorway around Newport. So basically, not only is there's more junctions in this part of the M4 than there is on any other part of the motorway. There's one every mile. You have a junction. And junctions mean people are coming off. They're also really short slip roads, so it's harder for people to join seamlessly.
Yeah.
It also goes up and down a lot. It undulates, which means that trucks have to brake going down and then accelerate going up, which creates more of these particulates and more of these emissions. And it also winds, so so basically,
it's a perfect storm, isn't it?
But also, a lot of it is set down, so there's no crosswind. So basically, it just builds up, and the things that are next to it are schools and houses. It is an absolute nightmare. This part of
that's insane. I used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon and try and get the roller coasters to crash, and it feels like someone else's planet.
Yeah. This is Sim City.
yeah.
But we're limited for time, so we can't really dive into this loads more. But this problem could have been alleviated if they'd built the M4 relief road. That was the relief road that goes from east of Newport round down below Newport and rejoins the M4 later. So it's essentially a bypass. It takes out the Bringlass tunnels, which are those two tunnels which force everyone to go slower and into two lanes. The decision to not do that was done by Mark Drakeford, and he said it was for environmental reasons and because of the Future Wellbeing of Future Generations Act. There was good, strong reasons to not build that relief road, because the evidence is when you build roads, you just end up with the same problem in 10 years. Whatever the rationale behind doing that, that has condemned the people of Newport to live in this ungodly levels of pollution for for the foreseeable future of our lives.
Yeah, and until we become a very electric-based country.
Well, even if you take the electric cars out, that doesn't stop the particulates.
Sure. And also, Mark Drakeford was the one on this podcast talking about preventative measures to stop people needing healthcare down the line.
A healthier society. Yeah.
And I mean, this is a bit of a taster for what I want us to do in a future one, where we look at these issues across the whole of Wales and compare it to different parts of the country. But I think it's interesting, isn't it?
It's really interesting. I'm really glad that we've touched on this, and then in this episode, I'll be really looking forward to kind of deep diving it again.
Yeah.
Last week, we went through loads and loads of listener questions. They sent them in on the voice notes. I'm so old.
Such a boomer.
But we've actually got another one, which I want us to go through now.
Nice.
Okay, so this next one is from James Downs.
Hi there, it's James from Cardiff. I love the pod and the sense of community that you're building up around it. I just wanted to say I relate so much to everything you were saying in the last episode about how Wales is viewed from the outside. It reminded me of when I was in uni, and thanks Welsh Government for paying me to leave Wales to go to Cambridge. It would really frustrate me, actually, that like a lot of international students who tend to have a lot of money would go travelling around the UK when they were here in Cambridge. And like nearly everybody would go to Scotland. They'd all go to Edinburgh. And almost nobody I knew went to Wales. And they didn't even know what it was, that it was a different country. And that like really frustrated me. Like, what happens when you do tell people about Wales? Like, it tends to be, like, in my experience, that people have a really kind of patronising response. So like, oh, you've got your own language, that's really cute. And the dragon on the flag, and like, that's not an active hatred, but it's still kind of infantilizing us, and this really belittling attitude that says we're less than. And I don't know what we can do about it besides like trying to keep speaking up. And yeah, the podcast is definitely like a big part of that. So yeah, that just sounded like a rant, but I definitely relate to everything you were saying.
Oh, well, thank you so much, James, for that.
We don't allow rants on the podcast.
No, we famously have none.
Oh,
them rant. What's rant in Gymraeg?
Rant.
Cool. I wasn't trying to be glib.
No, I'm sure there is a proper word. I just don't know it.
Sure.
So I'm writing a book at the moment called Who Cares About Wales? It looks at how there's a lot of reasons to be angry if you are Welsh about how Wales has been treated. I don't know how useful a lot of the anger felt in Wales is in how we kind of view ourselves and how we're treated, because yes, Wales is scorned, is mocked. There is a system whereby Wales is left in a position where it can't really solve its own problems, but the others aren't really interested in solving them. I can totally understand the anger around that. But I actually think we've kind of got to the point with regard to people, like he says about infantilizing Wales. I think I've kind of got to the point where I'm like, well, who gives a shit if they do that or not? Like, who, like getting annoyed about it, saying, oh, look how we were treated historically, all this. I can understand getting annoyed. I just don't know how useful it is.
But it hurt. And I think that's a valid feeling. I think the hurt is a valid feeling.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying in terms of it's not maybe the most proactive way of changing things, but I don't know what else is.
Ultimately, we, as people who live in Wales, we want things to get better. We want these problems we want Wales to be as prosperous and as and be run as well as it possibly can be. And ultimately, I think it gets to a point now where this kind of victim mentality is possible for you to be really mistreated and be a victim. And actually, the consequences of how you react to that kind of artificially holding you back. So my thing with Wales is we all have a collective responsibility, I think, in Wales to make this thing called Wales that we all care about better. And like, we're trying to do a small part of that with what we're doing with the podcast, aren't we? I'm not saying it's like a huge, massive thing, but actually, how many people in Wales passionately say they care about Wales but don't vote?
I do. I really hear you. I do. And I do think you're correct. But I think what's difficult is that, and this is absolutely not me advocating for an independent Wales at all, because I, like most of the electorate, I'm on the fence, if I'm being completely honest with you. But whilst we're not independent, it's not enough for us to try and make it the best we can. We're in the hands of other people who don't care for us. That's where that kind of stops working.
The reason Scotland is treated so much better within the Union is because it agitates for itself, and there's a threat of independence which puts it on the agenda. It uses the tools available to it to fight its corner. In Wales, we don't. Apathy is our biggest enemy in Wales. We're so apathetic to what's been done to us. And I can hear people messaging me now saying, well, what do you expect? What do you expect given our history? I'm like, I don't expect anything else. I understand exactly why we are where we are. But ultimately, we've now had a government for a quarter of a century. Like, we're growing up. Like, let's grow up and actually kind of take responsibility for it. Lucky we don't have rants on this, isn't it? In that next election, every person who cares about Wales can do something to try and affect it. And I'm not going to go at people, and I'm not criticising people, but I do think actually this idea of, yeah, we've been shafted by the UK government. Yeah, we are. absolutely fucking are in a dozen different ways, lots of which we don't even know about. And actually part of the research of the book's been really interesting. It's like, oh my God, we're getting fucked in a way I didn't even know existed. that is absolutely...
I'm quite impressed with that.
Yeah.
We are. It like, there has to be a point where we go, right, we are being screwed up. We have been dealt a worse hand. But we have got to, through every medium at our disposal, try and make amends to this. And a huge part of it is voting. But also, if people are annoyed about how politicians are running Wales, stand, run for count, like be a local, run for your party, try and influence stuff, change things. And actually, if we want this thing called Wales to succeed, it's kind of, only us can do it. There is no one outside of Wales who is going to proactively try and make Wales better, because they're not going to do it. So sitting here and railing against the fact that they're not doing it is an understandable emotion, but I think it's a useless one.
I think the way you say about, we're a young democratic nation in the sense that our government is X amount of years old. Think about it. I sometimes think about it from a self-care point of view. Like when you're in your 20s, you're sort of idling through, okay, I'm kind of learning about life type of thing. At 30s, your metabolism gets fucked and you have to go, I need to look after myself now. What can I do? How can I be proactive about these things? I feel like as a nation, we kind of need to be doing that as well. As you say, like, okay, let's worry about what's in our control, but also let's stand up for ourselves. Let's get a bit of self-respect and start to speak up about the things that, as I know people who read your articles, and I've learned a lot about, certain ways we've been shafted, who wouldn't, and share it with their family members who might not even engage with it anymore. So I think holding ourselves to a stronger account, I think, is it. Apathy, of course, is an issue. Voting, of course, is an issue. And we just need to sort of get it more into the forefront of the discourse, right? Yeah. And start thinking about us in a more grown-up way.
In 2018... Wales had been shafted over HS2 for 4 years at that point.
Yeah.
No one fucking knew or cared. But because there's been a concerted effort across people, media, parties and individuals to say to people, have you seen this? Have you seen what's happening here? Have you seen that this is happening to Wales? We've now got to the point where the UK government are at least trying to pretend they're addressing it. Yeah. They've failed completely. Let's not be about the bush. They've completely failed on that. But now they're likely to get, in some way, punished electorally for it. What we need is a government in Wales who can lead not just by making decisions, but also bringing people together and saying, we need this thing to work and it's on all of us. If you're someone a Welsh person who lives in London and you start a business, why not try locating it in Wales? It might not make as much money as you, but it will benefit your country. If you're a company who's buying stuff, needs a supplier, why not try, and first and foremost, aim for someone in Wales, aim for a Welsh company. And these are all hard things to do, and I'm not criticising anyone, but actually, we kind of need to go above and beyond. We need to do more than we are doing right now if it's going to work. And just being annoyed that the person is kicking us is not going to be enough. Yes, the person kicking us is a dick and they shouldn't be kicking us. And we can say, I'm really annoyed you're kicking us. But if we just lie there getting kicked.
What do you expect?
If your kids were getting bullied at school, would you tell them... because my dad would always say to me, if somebody hits you, hit them back. If you have a bollock in a school, I'll stick up for you. Or I'll go and pretend to have a go at you, and then when you get home, I'll give you a high five. Or would you be like, no, you're better than that? I know I'm really oversimplifying it.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a weird halfway model where we're like, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't let people get pushed around, but equally don't sink to the bottom.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what the fuck I'm telling them to do. Because I don't either. But I hate the idea of my kids being pushed in school.
Yeah.
And shying away, bursting into tears, not knowing what to do. I would rather them go, don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
And then dob on them like a good Morgan boy would.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If we're going to take that analogy, if you're in a school where it's got a really good teacher and the hierarchy in the system has a really good anti-bullying policy where if you report it, there'll be a consequence, which will be fair and measured, I'll be like, yeah, go and tell the teacher. But the school of the UK that Wales is in has not got a very good anti-bullying policy of Wales.
Yeah.
In the UK, if Wales has been bullied, you have to complain to the bullier.
Yeah.
And the bullier goes, I don't think I'm bullying you. And we have to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we lie there getting pummeled in the stomach for another till break.
I liked what you said about, a business potentially starting in London, why not do it in Wales? That sort of like think Wales type thing.
Yeah.
I quite like that as an angle of just like, why not?
Yeah.
You know, and obviously there should be sort of financial kickback for this as well. You know, sort of like businesses doing it here. Why not do these things in Wales? Why can't we do this? Why not have this as a part of the conversation in so many different ways?
And businesses will rightly be saying to this podcast right now, yes, but the Welsh Government has created a situation which is utterly crap for businesses and they haven't made it beneficial for businesses to come here. And that can also be true. And that is something else we have to do.
Is that a business rates thing? What is that?
Well, there's all sorts of things that the Welsh Government could do to help business. I mean, there is things that they could do around business rates, that they do have powers with regards to that. They could do something a bit cleverer there. They could do, they could have provided better education. So that actually there's a workforce that makes it really, really beneficial for someone to come to Wales. They could have better infrastructure in place. So that actually it's easier to be productive as a business here. They could have internet that works in places which aren't in the middle of cities. So that it would be easier to run a rural business. There are so many things that they could do to make it better for businesses. And, they tried. I think the biggest problem with Wales is there's some good ideas. There's no joined up thinking.
Sure.
It's sort of frustrating, isn't it, whenever we get to these conversations, because it feels like and I think we are a part of it. We're kind of getting there. We're sort of on the precipice of being able to kind of get some tangible progress.
Yeah.
Wales is getting better. Wales is getting more aware of itself. And people are being more proactive, I think, and people are trying to get that. I mean, I appreciate a lot of my arguments today have seemed like kind of half finished. I haven't finished the book, basically.
Yeah, but also that's the point, isn't it? These ideas, if we knew the answer, we'd be doing it.
Yeah.
And we're not, and like you said, it's almost like, when the idea is just there.
Yeah.
It's just there, but that feels promising. And I do think that an electoral shaker, if that is to happen, not in every way, could be good. But do you know what I mean? I think that just kind of a change to the status quo sometimes does cause growth. It could also cause a crash as well, but that's for another episode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you fix stagnation by staying the same.
Exactly, yeah.
Good question. So just a little shorty today, part of our summer series of podcasts.
I can't wait to be back into it though. September,
Yeah.
boom, 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 guns fired.
And starting with the live show as well in Wrexham, first Sunday in September, which is the 5th or 6th, I can never remember.
It's the Saturday, not the Sunday.
Shit!
First Saturday in September, the 6th of September.
I'll see you there.
It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully if you're in North Wales, North East, come along and see us.
Yeah, tickets are selling fast, I think.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. So get on that now. I've been Robin Morgan.
I've been Mel Owen.
I'm Will Hayward.
Bye.